these are just 5 things I love, 5 things I hate about living here. The cost of living, the ocean, stray dogs here. There's some goods, there's some bads, there's some pros, there's some cons, like there are everywhere in the world. But ultimately, I think there is a little bit of something here for everybody, you know? Now, I don't think you guys can see that in the distance, but that is a red flag here at Ritidian. I'm back at Ritidian. I said to you guys in a recent video in the past that I wanted to come here to do the little trail they have here to hike. Last time I tried to come here, it was closed, so I wasn't able to do it. So today's going to be the day. And of course, as you can tell by the title of this video, it is not necessarily about the trail, but it's about my experience of living here in Guam so far. Now, the only problem is I parked over there in that lot, which is the beginning lot, and I gotta walk all the way down this road to get to the trail, because there's a trail here, but that one is usually blocked off as it goes to some caves and you need to go on a special tour to get to that one, as I've tried in the past. So I'm gonna make it down this road. I could have parked down here, but I said I'm not gonna try it as the parking gets a little tight. Could be a bunch of cars already. It is Friday afternoon right now, so people might be enjoying the beach over here for the last few hours of the day, except you probably shouldn't swim as it is red flag, meaning there's probably a lot of riptides, currents, and all of that. But as I said, as you can see from the title of this video, it's about my experience living on Guam so far. Now, a quick disclaimer, I have not been living here for a year. I have not been living here longer than that. I have been living here for about 9 months. Not straight, but collectively 9 months. Now you might be asking me, so what is the point of this video? Why are you making it? But as you can tell from my videos and the past videos and even other videos here in Guam, it's not really that easy to get a lot of views on any content. It actually takes a long time. That's because there's just not a lot of viewership here or searching about Guam. So this isn't necessarily about views or anything. It's really just to share my experience and to maybe give some insight to other people that might be considering living here, or even for the locals to see what they think about the topics that I'm going to talk about. Just because I think it's good to talk about these things, as we are in a time where the younger generations, myself, maybe people a little bit younger than me, people a little bit older than me, can really shape a country or a place wherever they are living, and we can be a community, come together and improve it through discussion and implementing certain things or pushing for different ways, right? So that's the whole thing. I would like to hear from your guys' opinions and stuff at the end of the video, what you think. You can leave your comments below. I found a little trail off the side of the road, so I'm hoping this is the trail, maybe where it starts. I'm not really sure. Just gonna walk and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know if I'll even complete this because maybe it'll be too long. Who knows? But anyways, I want to start with this video talking about the things I love, maybe the things I hate. Let's do the things I hate first, so that way we can end on a good note. Oh, okay. It's a pretty wide open trail. Maybe we'll see some wildlife. I don't know. Let's start with the first thing. The first thing I think is the number one thing that most people would say here is the cost of living. The cost of living just sucks. Of course, if you live on an island, really anywhere in the world, it's going to be a higher cost of living due to, being so isolated and remote from other places of the world, such as, mainland US, some other countries and stuff. So, a lot of products and stuff here are very expensive. It takes a long time to get them here. But the other thing is the rent. The rent here is very, very expensive, over $2,000, I believe. And, a lot of that is because of the military, of course, or most of that, I guess we can say. But not only is the rent expensive, the groceries are expensive, and other things like that, bills, medical bills. It's not cheap to live here, by no means. It costs a lot of money, and you have to have a good salary to live here. And so a lot of people move away because of the cost of living. And so during my 9 months here, I have noticed it's so expensive. Like, you can go to the grocery store, buy a few items, and spend so much money, way more than you should have to. The cost of living is really, really high. It's really expensive. Even going out to eat, going to restaurants, if you want to go out and drink, you spend a lot of money. I mean, you can go to the bar and get a beer for like $8 or something, maybe. Sometimes cheaper, sometimes more. The price of gas is super expensive, so if you're driving a lot here on the island, you end up spending a lot of money on gas. And then also, I feel like there's a lot of price gouging sometimes, you know? Maybe during certain times of the year, like when there's typhoons and stuff. So it really sucks, and you really feel that even after a short time living here, whether you're, you know, living with family, not really paying rent, or you're living on your own, whatever it be, you end up spending a lot of money even though you think you don't. And so that's one thing I really hate, is how high the cost of living is. I hope in the future it gets lower, because I don't know how it ranks with other islands, especially other territories of the U.S. considered Hawaii, you know, U.S. Virgin Islands, Mariana Islands, American Samoa, things like that. Maybe Guam is quickly rising to the top to become even the most expensive place for living. All right, guys, check this out. It's like, I don't know, a limestone cave-like feature here. It's not roped off, so I can visit it. But look, you just have like these cliffs overhead. Wow, really, really cool. Now this is really dark colored, like somebody burned something. Oh wow, that's an animal carcass there. There's a vertebrae over there. Not sure what kind of animal carcass that is. But then even up here, you can see that's all burned up stuff. So it looks like people had fires here. Maybe in the past they definitely did, you know, during the ancient times when the ancestors were living out of these caves. Really, really cool to see how there are caves here on Guam. We're gonna carry on with the second point here. The second thing I've come to really hate about Guam, and that is transportation, that is driving, you know, dealing with traffic, cars and stuff like that. When I first came to Guam, or on my way here, I was like, you know, it's gonna be pretty nice to drive on an island, have that island breeze, drive island time, you know, drive a little bit slower, not have the rush. But that's not the case. Everyone here, not everyone, but a lot of people are such speeding people. Cars are speeding everywhere. There's a lot of traffic at times. You know, everyone's in a rush. There's a lot of accidents. There's a lot of cars that are in bad condition. And so sometimes you feel like the driving conditions are really bad. And with that, you can definitely see that, because a lot of the roads need a lot of repairing. The sun just destroys them, you know, the typhoons destroy them, the salt air, everything. So it's not common to drive on the road and feel like, you know, you're going to crash, or feel like it's very unsafe because of the conditions. So hopefully in the future they're going to improve the roads, you know, painting the lines, adding more reflectors, more street lights and things like that, because it would definitely make the driving better. Wow, another like little cave. Preserve the past. Some sort of cave drawing, I think, here. Oh wow, this one opens up. You can go in here, I guess. It's not blocked off. That's nice. Wow. Ooh, it is remarkably cooler in this cave. It feels good. But there's drawings in here. You know, it's really hard to tell. Like, is that from hundreds of years ago? Did somebody do that? Like these ones? I mean, it obviously looks like it was drawn with red clay at a time. Even here, that one, that looks like paint or blood. I'm not really sure. And there's some more here. You can see there's like a sun. Looks like a person fishing, trying to catch fish. And man, wow, huge spider over there. Pretty cool. Caves are really interesting to see, to step into and see what they're like. Don't know too much about them, and it's dark in there, so I'm not going to spend too much time. But this looks like a dead end here, I guess. Whoa, you guys see that? It's like a little mini monitor lizard. Wow, nice colors, dude. You are beautiful. Whew, I had the camera off for a second and he just like moved, scared the crap out of me. I mean, I got a little bit of goosebumps and it's hot out here. Wow, didn't expect that. But as I said, you know, driving does suck here sometimes, especially at certain times during the peak times, and especially during in certain areas, depending on where you're going. Like in the center of the island where, you know, most of the people work, some people live, you know, driving in that area is not the best. But then when you get to the north and you get to the south where it's more scenic, more spaced out, it's not so bad. But driving here is definitely not an easy task. It does get very annoying after a while. So I couldn't imagine like driving a motorcycle or something here. I definitely wouldn't do it. It would not be safe. People do it. They don't wear helmets and stuff. They're a bit crazy. But yeah, driving here is something you got to take very seriously, and you'll find that out after you start spending time here. But the transportation is pretty much non-existent. There's some transportation, especially in the center, like a trolley and stuff that really operates mostly for the tourists. But they need like a better transportation service here. Like in Mexico, for instance, they have these little white vans that go all around to different cities, inside of cities and stuff. And you kind of just flag one down, hop in, and you get off where you need to go, and you pay for that. It'd be nice to have something like that. Maybe there is like one bus, I think, that goes around the whole island, but it's still not that much, so you really need a car. And having a car is expensive, so it's not so convenient. But yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about it here, and probably any island really is. Sometimes the driving situation just is not what you expect it to be or what you want it to be. All right, we're gonna move on as I'm sweating and still walking. Moving on to the third point. The third point is that the island is like beautifully ghetto, right? Ghetto meaning that it's not really ghetto like maybe ghetto in the United States and stuff like that, but some areas just lacked some improvement. Of course, a lot of things were, destroyed by the typhoon last year, so that is a part of it, but a lot of things haven't been fixed. But when I say it's beautifully ghetto, the reason why I say that is because when you see the outer edges of the island, the coast and stuff, it's so beautiful. It's 10 out of 10 easily. But then when you get into the interior, sometimes you're like, wow, where am I? Like, is this still the same island? And so there are pockets of like these neighborhoods, these areas that you just don't feel welcome, or that you don't want to be in, mostly because some people don't take care of their stuff. Some people don't have the money to fix things. There is, a bit of poverty in certain areas. People junk their cars everywhere because they can't afford to fix them or tow them, and there's no real implementation to fix the junk car situation here. I've touched on that in a different video, but it's one of the things that sucks, that you just hate after being here for so long. You just feel like you're in a place sometimes that isn't improving or never will improve. Eventually it's going to improve little by little, of course, but some things don't improve as fast as they should. And maybe some of that is due to certain natural disasters, like I've said. Some of it maybe is due to the lack of funding. Some is due to the people who are in power, such as the government and stuff. I don't really know, or I'm not 100% sure to say what it is, but you do feel it when you are here. You feel a mix between paradise and maybe it's not so nice. Well, another thing to add on to the beautifully ghetto part about the island is that there are a lack of police here. I feel like there are police, but you don't see them that often. They're not patrolling too much. You feel like they need to be, around the island more. There's no traffic stops really, not really any violations of speeding and stuff. There's no one really watching the roads, you feel like, and there are a fair amount of criminals here, of course. There's not as many as there are in other places, but you do have your fair share of criminals here doing, mischief and things they shouldn't be doing, causing some crime and, violence and whatnot. But that makes you feel unsafe in some areas that you go to, and when you see it in the news, you think, oh man, maybe it's not so good to be in this area. Like here, I'm hiking, and they say, you got to be careful hiking because people do bad things. Some of the criminals recently have been drilling holes into people's cars and stealing their gas, which is wild. And I guess they've done it in the past, but who knows why they're doing it? Who knows what their motive is? Maybe it has something to do with money, drugs, I don't know. But you do feel a lack of safety here sometimes, and that's where that ghetto-ness kind of comes from. But of course, these things can be fixed, and hopefully will be fixed in the future. I sure do hope so, as you will see also pollution and graffiti in certain areas because people just disrespect the island. Maybe local people, maybe tourists, maybe foreigners that are living here that aren't local. It's a mixture of everyone, I'm sure, little by little. But I hope these things improve for the future because sometimes you do just feel like you're on a ghetto island, unfortunately. Wow, I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect this trail to have a bit of like changing landscape up and down. Super rocky, these like, I don't know what they are, coral rocks or something, but man, they are digging into my feet like no tomorrow. Definitely gonna make my feet a little sore. But on to the next point. The next thing I don't really like about the island here. Oh, Lotte site or Lotte site, Spanish well. We came from the Spanish well. The next part is, I feel like there's a lack of opportunity, a lack of activities, lack of fun for younger people, younger generations. Of course, you have endless amounts of going to the beach, swimming, snorkeling, diving, fishing, things like that. Hiking and stuff, there's a lot of that. You just have to deal with the weather, of course. But other things, you know, here on the island, there's one mall that is the Micronesian Mall. And there are many places in the mall, but you feel like it's always the same stuff. They need more places. There's GPO, also mediocre, I think. But it needs more activities for people, you know, maybe more arcades, maybe better movie theaters, maybe I don't know, like laser tag, more bowling, indoor places, of course, because it's so hot, more outside activities. I don't know. I just feel like they can have other activities for people to do, maybe like zip lining, other outdoor activities that aren't so expensive. There's really not a whole lot. I feel like one of the things that people do the most here is eat and drink. Go to a new restaurant, go out to a bar, buy stuff from the store, drink at home, because the weather is very hard to deal with at times, unless it's nighttime or early morning when it's cool. And a lot of people don't want to be outdoors, so there needs to be more indoor places. Of course, I can't think of all the things there needs to be, but you definitely feel like, I'm bored. What can I do? What is there to do that I haven't done? Especially if you're here for short term, maybe 3 to 6 months, you might burn out of things to do. You might do all the things very quickly. So there could just be a few more things to do, you know, more variety, something different. But as I said, it feels like there's a lack of opportunity here, especially with the low paying jobs. Even when you want to get a job, you can find one that is fun, maybe one you like, but still the pay isn't so great, especially compared to the cost of living. So a lot of people are moving away because of that. So hopefully in the future things will improve for that part, and you know, more people, more local people won't be moving away and leaving their heritage and their family. So I don't know, we'll see what happens in the future, but definitely I do feel like after 9 months or so that I'm like, what can I do? I can't really drive to the next state or the next island because you're on an island. So if you want to leave the island and travel and go somewhere else and experience a different area, a different culture, you got to pay a couple $100, maybe $500 to go to the next island, such as Saipan, or even farther, Philippines, Japan, and stuff like that. So there needs to be more to do here on the island that will keep people here and keep them wanting to spend their money here. Well, just at the end of telling you guys about that fourth thing, the lack of opportunity, my GoPro overheated because it's so hot out here. And GoPro always has an overheating issue. I don't know why they haven't fixed this yet. I mean, a GoPro is a little bit older, but yeah, overheated. So anyways, I switched to the phone here, which is why it's probably a little bit unstable. Try to make it as stable as I can. But we're gonna go with the fifth and final thing that I really don't like about Guam, and then we're gonna move on to all the good things. And the fifth thing is the forever rising population of stray dogs here, and even stray cats. You see them everywhere, and it seems like it's never improving. Of course, there is an animal shelter here, which you may know of, GAIN, but they're always at maximum capacity. So there are way too many dogs on the street, and you know, there's not enough that people can do. You know, some people do adopt them. Some the people at GAIN, they do take care of some of them and whatnot, but there's not enough people adopting dogs. That's the other problem. But the other problem is that there are so many people in the past, now, and probably in the future too, that just don't have the right fundamentals, the right you know, skills, and you know, people just don't know how to take care of animals. And so there are a lot of stray dogs on this island, a lot in a very, very bad condition. Many people just release their dogs after they can't take care of them anymore, and then they're out to fend for themselves. And a lot of dogs make little stray dog packs, you know. Maybe some are aggressive, a lot are skittish, and a lot are just wandering the island trying to find food. And because of that, you will see, if you come here, if you haven't been here, there's a lot of roadkill, which are these dogs, sometimes kittens and cats as well, because these dogs are venturing, they're trying to find food. And some people might even say that they're suicidal and they just jump out into the road because they're trying to get your attention, which could be so. But that's one thing that's really hit me hard while living here, is that almost every day you drive, you see another dog that's been hit by a car. I don't know how it happens. Like I said, they might be jumping out in the road at nighttime. I really don't know, but it's so sad. And I wish this problem gets fixed soon, you know, sooner than later, because I can only imagine it's gonna get worse in the future. And there are so many beautiful dogs that don't deserve such a life like that. Of course, this is a problem all around the world, but I really didn't expect it to be a problem here on the island. I don't really know how this problem began, but it is something that's really, really bad. And if you do come here for the first time you visit, you will see, oh man, it can really ruin your day. All right guys, here I am walking along the beach here. The trail is going along the beach. Very, very beautiful, very scenic views here, walking in between these palm trees. Hopefully there's no coconuts that are gonna fall. I've switched back to the GoPro. Hopefully it doesn't overheat again. We'll see, probably will. But now we've covered the things that I really hate. These are just 5 of the things, you know, maybe there are little other things, but I feel like these are the things that I think about the most while living here. These are the things that make me think, could I live here for another year? Should I go somewhere else, you know, and what be it? But maybe you guys would agree. Let me know. Do you hate these things also? Are they topics of big concern, or are they just minor to you? Let me know in the comments. But let's move on to the things I really love about the island. All right. One of the things I absolutely love about this island is its diversity. It's diversity of people in specific. Here on the island, of course, you have the native people, the Chamorros and stuff. But then you have a lot of foreigners, you know, white people, people from the United States mainland because of military and stuff like that. And then you also have a lot of Filipinos. I think the population of the Filipinos is something like 30%, which is super, super high. And actually, during my experience being here, working here on the island, you know, being a tourist, going around, you meet a lot of Filipino people. And I do love Filipinos, as I have traveled to their country many times, and they're very hospitable. But not only them, even the local people here, they're very nice, very friendly, easy to get along with. So I love that there's a diversity of people here. It's like a little melting pot, you know, and it's just an island. And a lot of that is because of the location and the connection between the US and some of these Southeast Asian countries. So you also have, you know, Koreans, Japanese people, you even have Chinese, Taiwanese, and more, of course. And so here, while you're visiting, while you're living here, you can really meet a lot of people, a lot of cool people, and you can make good friendships. And it's really nice to have that diversity, I feel like. What do you guys think? As you guys can see, I have made it off the trail, back on the road here to head back down to the parking lot. The trail actually wasn't that long, but I am already tired of getting baked by the sun. I am gonna need to find some shade soon. But the next thing I really love here is the availability of food options. Oh my God. I didn't imagine before I came here that the cuisine would be so wide. You know, you have a lot of local cuisine that the Chamorros have, you know, such as like red rice, some beans, some fiesta plates, you know, with all the meats and stuff. There is some really, really good food here, good barbecue and stuff like that. Of course it is expensive, like I already mentioned, but man, some of the local food is delicious. You have all the American food because of the military being here, so there is that everywhere. You have all your chains, your McDonald's and stuff, right? But then you also have a lot of good Asian places, Korean, you have Thai, you have Chinese, of course, you have Japanese. What else is there? There might be some other, there's Italian and some other things. So like the good thing is you don't have to eat the same thing every day. You can really eat something different all the time. And that's what I like about here. For such a small but big island, I guess you can say, you have a lots of options, which is really, really good. And you don't get that everywhere in the world. So that is a really nice thing about living here on Guam that I love. All right, the next thing I want to talk about that I really love is right here in front of us, guys. The ocean, the beach. Because it is an island, that means you have endless opportunities of natural beauty like this. Now, of course, as you can see, the tide, the waves are moving kind of sideways, so there is some rip current and stuff. Actually, I think there's one right there. That's a rip current. It's like a break in between the two, I guess, wave areas. So you have to be careful when you come here to the island. There are certain areas that you cannot swim at certain times, and there are areas like Tumon Bay you can swim all the time because it's, you know, very well protected from such things like this. But this is one of the things I absolutely love about Guam, is its natural beauty, its ocean. Not only its ocean, its landscape interior, like the hills and the trails and stuff like this that you can go on a hike, but the ocean is why people love it here. You know, you have such clear water that looks non-polluted. I don't know how polluted it is. Maybe it is a little bit because pollution is everywhere. But man, here, great fishing. I went fishing recently, caught some mahi-mahi, tuna. You have a lot of nice pelagic fish. Pelagic, I think that's how you say it, right? And then you got the snorkeling, you got the scuba diving, you can go tan, you can go sit at the beach, you can have dinner at the restaurant, the hotels are there. So while I have been living here for almost a year, I have realized the beach is everything here. This is one of the reasons why people stay here, is because they can't leave the beach. They feel like if they move to somewhere else that's not an island, this is what they're going to be missing. It's like living in Florida. People, when they move to Florida, they never want to leave because they have the beach by their side. And here it's the same way, except I feel like the beaches here are very underrated compared to many places in the world. Yes, I'm saying that, and that is because of how far it is away from everything. So you do get a lot of people that go to the beach, but it is not anywhere near too overcrowded like you'll find in Florida, in California, in the US, maybe even at some beaches in the Philippines and stuff. So the ocean is Guam's like #1 thing that keeps people here. We're gonna move on to the fourth thing. The fourth thing I really love about Guam, I only got 2 more. So the fourth thing that I really love about living here in Guam is its close connection between certain countries and other places around this specific region, right? Because it is a US territory, of course Americans can live here visa-free for as long as they want, pretty much, right? There are a lot of other countries that come here that can live here for a while because of their visas and stuff. But for me, the thing that I like the most is that, you know, the Philippines is so close by, Japan is so close by, so is the rest of Southeast Asia, you know, Korea, China, Taiwan, all of those places. You have some other islands you can go to, like the Northern Marianas. You can travel to Palau, you can travel over to Hawaii, even though it's kind of like a 6 to 7 hour flight to Hawaii, but you have connections here. And that's one of the things I like about living on Guam. If I want to go and travel in Japan, it's only like a, what, less than 4 hour flight or something to get over there, as long as you can catch it on a deal, of course. But the one caveat, the one problem about traveling to other places from this island is that the airlines are limited. Now, if you don't know, which some of you, most of you probably do know, is that United Airlines owns a very big portion of where the flights are going. So a lot of the flights you take have to be United Airlines, especially to US destinations. You have Philippines Airlines, which mostly go to the Philippines. Some of them will connect and then go to Japan. And then also you have some Japanese and Korean airlines that go to Korea and Japan. But other than that, there's not really any other airlines that come here. You sometimes see some, but a lot of those are like diverted and not supposed to be here. So it's also a reason why sometimes the flights are very expensive to go to certain places. Like I said, to go to Saipan, the next island, like over pretty much, it's crazy expensive. It's way too expensive. It shouldn't be that much. You can fly to the Philippines for cheaper, which is nuts. And even though we are an island in the Pacific Ocean, very far from other parts of the world, such as Europe, such as Africa, maybe Latin America, mainland United States, the good thing is that traveling to Southeast Asia, like I said, is much quicker than if you live in the mainland and you want to travel to Asia or you want to travel to Europe. It's much further away. you know, especially if you're living in California and you want to go to Spain, you're probably looking at what? I don't even know. That's probably like a 11-hour flight or something. So it is a good location, except the one problem about that is you're very far when you do want to go back home to the US or somewhere else that is very far away. It takes forever to get there. You spend a lot of time. You lose a lot of hours of sleep because of time zones and whatnot. It messes you up. So that's the one caveat, but it is really nice having the option of traveling to other countries close by. Almost to the end of this road, and with one last thing to say, one final thing that I like about living here in Guam, what I love. And that final thing is that, of course, it's an island. That means you feel a bit disconnected, which is a good thing. So you're not as connected as maybe Hawaii would be. I don't know, maybe it's the same, but you're not as connected as being in California or somewhere. Now by that I mean I don't really see much about the news, the politics and stuff like that. I can really just block it out easily because you don't have to, you know, subscribe to that stuff. Of course there is some promotion of that here on the island, of course, but then you have the local government here as well, so you have their politics and stuff. So you can get what you want, but you also can block it out because you're so far away. And so when you think about the time and stuff over there, like in the mainland, you're going back, what, 14 hours or something. So basically when you're awake, they're sleeping, and when they're awake, you're sleeping. So you feel like you're in two different worlds, which is really nice. But now, of course, the one downside to that is that you're so far away that when you do want to communicate, it can be difficult. You got to stay up late, you got to stay in the late hours to talk to people, or, you know, vice versa, the other way for them. And then also if you want certain products, you can't really get them because they're not available here, so you have to ship them and they take a very long time. And you know, that's one of the little problems. But I'm not gonna lie, I think the reason why people like going to islands, visiting, traveling there, living there, is because they want that peace, right? They want to be disconnected. They want to be far away from the, you know, the crappy life, right? The crappy stuff that happens in everyday life. You know, they want to turn that off and they want to live peacefully and stuff like that. And so you have that option here, which is really nice. You can totally live here, of course, while feeling the American influence and things like that, but not even thinking about, oh wow, this is like life in America. No, it can be totally different. And that's what I like about living here, is that you can really make yourself feel disconnected as if you're living on a remote island in another country. And with that, I'll also say another point is that because it is an island, you do get bored a little bit. Like I said, lack of opportunity, but I think it's very easy to go crazy sometimes when you're on an island because it's so small. You feel like you see the same people, the same places all the time. You can't go to a certain distance without getting on an airplane, right? So because of that, I think people do go a little insane, and that's why a lot of people move away. You know, maybe I will in the future. I don't know how soon, how far away, but maybe it won't be forever. But these are just, you know, 5 things I love, 5 things I hate about living here that I've kind of realized after, you know, 3/4 of a year, I guess. And there's some goods, there's some bads, there's some pros, there's some cons, like there are everywhere in the world. But ultimately, I think there is a little bit of something here for everybody, you know, something that everyone's gonna love, something that everyone's gonna hate. I'd like to know from you guys, what do you think? What do you think about Guam? Are there many things to hate? Are there many things to love? Is it a 50-50, you know, balance? Let me know. I would love to know from you guys.